Fashion choices are everywhere, whether we prefer casual comfort, modern-day trendy, or business professional attire. We devote a great deal of our time, money, and energy into customizing a wardrobe that meets our needs. The scary truth is that we oftentimes unknowingly place our health at risk by making poor fashion choices. Perhaps you're questioning the possibility of such a notion. After all, what does clothing have to do with our health? Well, research shows that tight clothing worn for an extended period can take a toll on our health and well-being. I know from my audience analysis questionnaire that some of you are familiar with the damage created by tight clothing. However, I also realize that some of you are in the dark in regards to how serious the problem truly is. Today, I will try my best to persuade you to avoid wearing or purchasing articles of clothing that would fall under that health risk category. So what makes me such an expert on harmful fashion trends? Honestly, my awareness surfaced shortly after a back-to-school shopping trip with my 13-year-old son, Caleb. I have always had an extreme aversion to skinny jeans, so I was less than thrilled when my son indicated that he wanted to try on the one article of clothing I could not visually stand to look at. Apparently, all the kids in Caleb's school were wearing skinny jeans, and not owning a pair would somehow put his social status in jeopardy. We know how dramatic teenagers can be. So in an effort to save his reputation, I surrendered my objections and I purchased the skinny jeans against my better fashion judgment. It was not too long after that purchase that Caleb began experiencing a numb, painful, tingly feeling in his outer thigh area. My initial thought was that the skinny jeans had to somehow be cutting off his circulation. However, this was just a guess. I did not know for certain. My cousin John Sousa works in Hudson as a physician, so when I addressed my concerns with him, he was very helpful in determining that Caleb's skinny jeans were in fact the cause of his discomfort. Apparently, tight clothing is the unannounced cause of many health-related concerns, most of which we are oblivious to. If you are willing to grant me an open mind, we can investigate some of the health concerns linked to wearing tight clothing, and we can communicate effective solutions to avoid running into those concerns in the future. Perhaps we should begin by acquainting ourselves with the problem, which is undoubtedly the number of health concerns linked to tight clothing use. Nerve damage is probably the most notable result of wearing clothes that are too tight. The MSNBC website indicates that wearing skinny jeans or other tight denim can lead to a nerve disorder known as meralgia paresthetica. Meralgia paresthetica is a disorder caused by constant pressure on our lateral femoral cutaneous nerve located in the outer thigh area. However, the disorder is not exclusively limited to that area, being that there are multiple nerves running throughout the human body capable of compression. Much like my son, individuals experiencing this disorder will feel a numb, tingling, or burning sensation in any area accompanied by tight clothing. In addition to nerve damage, tight clothing is also capable of causing reproductive concerns for both men and women. For quite some time, there's been an ongoing debate over whether or not tight jeans or underwear can indeed cause male infertility. So I did some digging of my own. According to the Mayo Clinic website, a man's scrotum is intended to remain a few degrees cooler than the rest of his body. Restricting the genital area causes overheating and disrupts the perfect temperature needed to produce sperm, ultimately working against the best possible results in regards to reproduction. So my finding is that although tight jeans may not guarantee infertility, they certainly contribute to lowering its probability. In addition to men, tight clothing can have an impact on women as well. Although infertility is unlinked to women who wear tight clothing, the heat caused from doing so becomes a breeding ground for the overgrowth of bacteria. So if you're a woman and you're noticing a reoccurrence of yeast or bacterial-related infections, chances are tight clothing could be the culprit. Aside from tight clothing, certain accessories are capable of jeopardizing our health as well. History details that women in the 18th century would commonly faint due to the overlacing of their corsets. Now obviously corset construction has come a long way over the years. However, the effects of wearing modernized versions still pose the same respiratory health risks. If worn inappropriately, slimming devices can restrict lung expansion, create shallow breathing, and ultimately lower our ability to take in oxygen. Even more shocking than the effects of slimming devices is that of the last two items of clothing we will be discussing today. According to the Fox News website, items of clothing such as tightly bound neckties or tight collared dress shirts can cut off our body's ability to circulate blood and oxygen to our brain. These items additionally contribute to muscle tension in the back and shoulders, increase fluid buildup in the eye, and ultimately play a role in the onset of glaucoma. Now, obviously, we've discussed a great deal in regards to how tight clothing can influence our health. Fortunately, we have the information we need to finally do something about it. So what exactly is it that we should do? I asked a handful of audience members how guilty they were of letting their health take a back seat to looking trendy. Not surprisingly, some admitted to enduring pain for the sake of their egos, whereas others favored wearing only items of clothing that felt comfortable to them. I believe the resolution to the problem is rather simple. First, we need to determine internally what aspects of our lives should take priority over others. And we need to make the psychological changes needed to make sure that those priorities aren't out of whack. Ask yourself, is looking good or being socially accepted more important to you than your health? The answer to that question should always be no. Your health should always be top priority. Secondly, most of the health concerns we discussed today can be avoided with the use of a little common sense. If you own clothes that are physically hurting you, for God's sakes, throw them away. If you're shopping and you come across items of clothing that you're questioning the fit of, go with a larger size. You can still achieve the look you want without hurting yourself in the process. A good rule of thumb is if you're questioning the fit of something in the first place, you already have the information you need to make the right decision. I think the point that I am getting at is that we know full well when clothing is hurting our body. It's our responsibility as adults to make decisions that are best for our health and for our body. Perhaps this is not the extensive solution that you were expecting, but it certainly is an effective one. I think now would be a good time for us to recap on our discussion today and cover some bases. We know that clothing worn too tightly for an extended period can take a toll on our health and well-being. We covered the dangers linked to wearing tight clothing, and we communicated effective solutions to avoid running into those concerns. In closing, I challenge you to consider your health when making additions to your wardrobe. Please stay away from purchasing items that literally suck the life out of you. And remember, fashion should make you feel good mentally and physically. Thank you, and good luck with your future shopping endeavors.